I couldn't resist getting the new 13.5-inch Barbie. She's big, she's giant, and I'm not going to start collecting bigger dolls, but I had to get the first one. So here she is. She is considerably, well, a little bit bigger than the other ones, but she's made out of something totally different. So you can see she comes in a little nightgown. She has some accessories. There's about 3 to pick from, so I thought I'd take the classic blonde first. And first off, her hair has the box stuff. I'm going to have to give her a hot water treatment. And those things, the plastic things poking out of her head, I don't know why they staple those into her head, and I can't get them out. And I don't want to cut close to her head because I don't want to cut off any of her hair. So she comes with this brush, and she has articulation. Why don't they make all Barbies this way? They put skin over to cover the joints, and it looks so good. And it's made out of like a rubber. She's a rubbery feel, vinylish rubbery feel. She doesn't have, she's not plastic. She's very heavy as a result, but it's so nice not to see the joints. They've got to do this for regular Barbies. She doesn't have a ton of articulation. Her head goes back and forth, side to side. Doesn't really lean forward. Her arms bend at the elbows, and they bend at the shoulders real nice. They rotate out. Her legs also will rotate out, but her feet, her ankles don't move, which is fine. I mean, she has a lot of articulation. It's nice. They come with shoes, thank goodness, because I'm not good at making shoes. She has this little plastic hairband, which is so typical of Mattel. It looks terrible. I'm not going to use it. And look at her goofy face. I mean, her eyes are huge and they're looking up. And she comes with this classic stuffed animal, very reminiscent of the stuffed animals from the 60s. A big brush. But I have to do something about this outfit. It's short, of course, stops way above the thigh. Typical Mattel. So I'll make her some modest clothing that looks realistic and good. I'll do something to match her shoes. I'm going to have to make a pattern, which is not easy. I'm not very good at making patterns. So we'll start on that. Here's a comparison of her to the other big Barbie I have. I have this ballerina Barbie I got. I think she was from the early 80s. And she's huge, and I just kept her because she was unique, but now she has a buddy. They are almost the same size. So I took some leftover just from the edges of my patterns and drew around her. Just going to try and make a long skirt. I ended up not using the side piece and just folding the back piece in half and using it so that all the pieces matched. I pinned the skirt together temporarily just to see where the darts should go, how big of darts they should be, if I had the right pieces really after I put it all around. So to do a quick top, I just took a hairpiece. It's like a bandeau hairpiece, and it had to be doubled twice so it wasn't just hanging loose. But that was tight enough, and then I kind of just wound it around till it had this like decorative knot in the back, kind of holding it tight against her. And then you can just elongate it to the size you want. The bad thing about these is that they roll up. They don't have edges. So you just kind of spread it out. And as you can see the twist in the back of the hairpiece. And then you can just pull the waist down because it's so adjustable. So we'll put the skirt on, see how it fits. I've ironed it out. Put a snap on the back. I like using snaps for my Barbie clothes, not Velcro, like they used to do. And it turned out pretty well, except for, I mean, the darts look good. They're about the right length, about the right size, as you can see. So the front looks good. The waist is great, but it has this little loopy thing here. So from this bottom up to there, I need to adjust the pattern, taper it a little bit more, so it's a little bit poofy in that one area. But overall, I think for first attempt, it came out pretty nice. This material is super hard for me to work with. This shiny, silky material, it's awful. So I'm gonna make her a jacket. I'm taking my G.I. Joe pattern that I have, folding the waist up, making it a little shorter. And I want to remind you what her face looked like. Her very goofy face that I couldn't stand. So I painted down the eyes. And unfortunately, I didn't have my camera on. So you can see I've covered half of her old eye there. And I'm narrowing it down even more. And I've totally painted those pupils. Those are new. So her pupils were twice the size of the ones I have here. I had to color those all in with the white and covered over most of it with the black. I will eventually get rid of those lashes and that brown line above because the lashes are too high up. You know, they were for a doll that was looking up, basically, with big fat eyeballs. So now I'm just kind of trying to define in her eyes. I'm going to have to elongate them. I'm going to have to bring in the tip, the point on the inside in a little longer, point it down in a more realistic way. Eventually I make some red and put it in the corners like we would naturally have in our eyes. I didn't do the red on the bottom, all the way along the bottom, and I probably should have done some flesh color. I didn't think about it. So I just keep working that point down, you know, bringing that eye down to more of a point in the corner, elongating it. I still have too much iris or too much white there, so I will cut that back a little bit too. I'll bring in the corners and narrow that eye down some more. Whenever I do eyes, they always start out too big, even when I'm doing paintings. I always overestimate the size of the eyeball. So here I am bringing the corners in a little more, narrowing down the part that the white part of the eye should not be as much as I have here. So I'm bringing that in a little bit. I will eventually outline the eyeball itself, the iris, with some black around the edge, even though they're blue. Here I've made some skin color and I'm just going over those lashes. I'm going over the brown dent there, just making new shadows for her. Now I'm mixing a lip color. I'm trying to kind of match what she had, but I'm making it a little bit darker because I want to cover those teeth, and I know it's going to take a couple coats to cover them, and I want to somehow try and blend those in to make them illusion to look like the part of the lips and not teeth. So I know it's going to take a few coats here and maybe a darker shade to get rid of those goofy. And here's the finished product, and now she's looking straight at you instead of up at the sky. And I added some highlights to her eyes, and here she is standing. She just got her hair washed and styled. It's still a little wet here. I couldn't get that dent out next to her. I could probably boil it. I just used hot water. I was scared to boil it. So we found a piece of furniture that fits her pretty well, and she's hanging with the other Barbies, and they're making her feel welcome even though she's so big. And I think she just looks lovely. I think she turned out really well, and she's happy to be part of the family. I want to remind you how goofy her face was before, how it's not looking at you, and now it's looking at you very nicely. And we got rid of her goofy teeth, and I think she just has a really pretty face. I like her.